do a home project for $125. Is helpfulest a word?
It is now.
If it is, you're the helpfulest guy we know.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
I think.
It's very nice to see you again. We had some snowbirds move in next door, and they asked me, what's October here? Because they're from upstate New York. They're not sure what to do in their projects.
Yeah.
And since they're new in the neighborhood and new to the home, I said painting is perfect in October because you can get outside. You can't do it in July really effectively because it's just too hot for the paint to cure properly.
Anything is perfect in October.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you've got a ton of stuff to share. So
we talked about painting and what's the right thing to do. They have a stucco home, so we're going to talk about stucco paint and prep and things like that.
Good.
Preparation is one of the I think it's the most important part about the painting project. You're going to want to do some repairs, the silicone caulk, the painter's caulk, and things of that nature. If you need to do any patching and repairing of the stucco and things like that, or repair of the wood, we have a lot of products to do that, of course.
Well, and you have classes and all kinds of great tips as well. Is this something that we can do ourselves, or should we hire a handyman?
I hate to make all the handymen mad, but quite a bit of the stuff you can do on your own.
Okay.
A lot of that stuff is very good, but if you have the time and you have the inkling, painting is fun.
It is?
It is.
I was going to agree with you, and then I thought...
I'll do about 3 different things. There's certain things I won't do, but painting is one that I really enjoy doing.
Oh, okay.
After you've selected a color, which I always leave to my wife, and I suggested to my neighbor that he do the same.
Yes,
he
sir.
selected some things, got it approved through his homeowners association. The next thing he had to do is obviously the preparation that we talked a little bit about earlier. Then you need to wash and let it dry. Make sure that you've washed the house. I usually power wash my house once or twice a year anyway, but always before you paint. It's a good thing.
All right.
We picked some nice finishes from the Clark & Kensington brand for the trim, and we also picked the Ace brand stucco paint for the exterior that he was very happy with.
And this is all a one-day project, right?
Outdoor painting is probably a little bit longer than one day.
Or just prepping it, I mean.
Just prepping it is one day. And depending on the size of the house. For our house, 1 day for prep, 1 day for trim, and then 2 days with a power tool, with a power sprayer to do the rest of my house. So it was a 3-day project for me and my neighbors.
And you've got the great tools.
And I always like to bring gadgets because I know you ladies really like to do that. And so I brought something for shorter people so they can get that extension on the twist and reach. And it's also extendable where you can screw in something on the end to get really high if you don't have a power washer as well.
Very good. And what do we have here?
Well, we're going to talk about refreshing your bathroom. So my neighbor said, what about inside the house? I said, you have a typical bathroom for the Valley, and you can refresh the look for about $125, including paint and materials. Yes.
I'm all ears.
Absolutely. First, you need to repair the wall. And if you're not sure what piece parts to buy, this drywall repair kit for dummies is really kind of cool to have.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Then you're going to want to repair walls, especially if you have active kids or you've knocked a few holes in there. You're going to want to tape, you're going to want to float, you're going to want to put a little bit of stuff in there just to make sure that it takes care of it, that you get a nice smooth finish. Then you're going to want to sand it down.
Okay.
Then, of course, continuing with the preparation, you're going to want to take some TSP and a sponge, get it damp and wash it and make sure that it dries real well. You're going to then want to mask it off. He chose a couple of vibrant colors because his kids really like these colors, so that's the color palette that they've chosen to go with inside, which they did need homeowners association approval for, so that was really kind of cool.
For the inside, right, exactly.
And then it took about 1.5 quarts for the trim, and it took about 1 gallon for the interior. So when you add up everything, including if you need to buy a new brush and a high-quality Ace brand brush or a Purdy brush that we carry at our store, it's all inclusive.
That's one dinner out.
It is.
Right?
One of the things that I talk to people about is if you care for your brushes, and I forgot to grab that today. I've got a brush that's over 10 years old, and it's gone through every room in my current house and every room in our previous house. As long as you clean the latex paint up real easily, or any of the oil-based paints, and you clean it properly, you can have a brush last for a very long, long time. So it's not necessarily an investment you need to make each and every time you paint.
What's the window? How long can you wait before you actually clean that brush?
I do it right away because that's just the way that I do it, and you tend to get less problems that way.
Alrighty.
And then, of course, you'd have an all-in-one kit. One of the other things that while we were inside painting the bathroom, I said, hey, I think your bathroom's leaking. His stool was leaking. So it wasn't a big leak. It wasn't collecting on the floor, but we have everything at Ace Hardware to do the minor repairs for your toilet if you just need a handle level so you don't need to jiggle it, or you need to put in universal water-saving devices and things like that. We have all kinds of tools, including where you can reseat the gasket if it is leaking.
It's actually a pretty easy fix.
It's a very easy fix with most common tools that we have around the home. The first thing that you're going to need to do is turn the water off. Then you're going to need to, down generally against the wall, then you're going to need to disconnect the supply line and flush the toilet a couple of times to get the water out. Collect the water into a bucket, sponge out the interior of the toilet, and then replace the whole valve. I brought this because it's a nice visual aid. This is an old-fashioned kind. I've installed all of this particular brand in my house because it's an all-in-one and it's very quiet. You just take the old one out, put the new one in,
simple.
Put the screw on the bottom, and it's very easy. You can do it with common household tools that you've got around the home.
Excellent. And Brad, with just a few seconds left, tell us how we can achieve that beautiful winter lawn right now.
Well, last month we talked about winter lawns, and we saw the dogs that we had on a few minutes ago. If you've got Fido that's made a few patches where you need to patch, we've got some all-in-one fertilizer easy seed that's very convenient for getting those patches and things in your yard that you need to get.
Very good. And Brad, can we just call you?
Sure.
All right, everyone, for more information, you can go to acehardwarephoenix.com/DIY. And coming up,